Hello everyone, this is Little Green Patch 98, and today I'm going to be making some mail-in jars. With the kids back in school and the holidays upon us, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, all the other holidays coming up, we're always pressed for time. So now with the busy holiday season upon us, I find myself even more pressed for time. If I could add more hours to the day, that would be even better, but so I figured I would try to do some mail-in jars that not only I could prepare, that my husband or the kids could even prepare. So we're going to try and do a couple, and I always wanted to work this long-term storage into like our everyday meals. And I'm going to open up a couple of these cans and make probably about 4 to 6 mail-in jars and see how it goes. And the rest of the long-term storage items I'm actually gonna put back into mason jars and seal them up, so hopefully they'll last as long as if they were in the number 10 can. So what I have here is like some quick cook red beans. There is some freeze-dried beans. I've got some carrots here, the shoestring dehydrated carrots. I've got some freeze-dried sweet corn. There's some celery here. That's onions, and I have some tomato powder. Here's some cheese sauce, and then I have some TVD, which is the textured vegetable protein for us vegans in the family. So I'm going to see if my husband likes that. So I have 3 of those. I have flavored like sausage. There is a flavored like, is this beef? Yes. There's beef, and then this one's chicken. So there's 3 of those, and I think I have an unflavored one, and I'm just gonna try these 3 out. Maybe just 2. I don't think I'm gonna open all 3 of these, but anyway. And then I have some beef crumbles, some freeze-dried sausage crumble. I have some white chicken, and then I have some diced beef. So I'm going to use these up. And then I also have things like this buttermilk. These were also from our long-term storage sort of thing. The only thing I'm not going to use long-term storage, pull out of my long-term storage, is my seasoning. Because I have these open in my daily pantry, the ones I'm using every day, so why would I open another seasoning in? These aren't open. So I'm going to actually put these back into my long-term storage thing and then pull out what I need out of my spices that I have here in the kitchen with me, and we'll see how this goes. So let's put this together. Okay, so I've set up for my first meal in the jar. I have all my ingredients here. I have my empty wide mouth mason jars, quart size, washed and dried, ready to go. And I also have some regular mouth ones. We'll see how these go. I had a case of these left, so we'll see how those go. And I have the lids and everything washed and ready to go. And I went online and printed off some recipes. These are some from Chef Tess, some from different other chefs, Linda's Pantry, which is a YouTube channel that I look at, and then some other ones I found on various sites online. So I wrote them all down. And there's about 15 recipes here. Of course, I'm not going to try to do all these. I've picked 2 that I wanted to do definitely, and then maybe one other one, and I'll do 2 of the first ones, like 4 bottles, 4 jars, and I'll do 2 with the regular meat, and I'll do 2 with the vegetarian meat, and we'll see how that goes over with the family. I won't tell them it is, so once I start eating it, they'll probably know, but anyway, so we're going to start with this, the Chef Tess double cheeseburger sauce mix. So she says to mix the sauce and then mix it in with elbow macaroni and some freeze-dried ground beef. So we're going to do that. I'm going to mix the sauce first, and then we'll it says put it in a baggie, so we'll see how that goes. So it calls for garlic, onions, pepper, nutmeg, and then I have these dissolvable labels that I got, and I'm going to put if I can fit it, the instructions for cooking. So should my husband decide he wants to cook dinner, if I'm running late, be a nice surprise to come home to a warm meal, or the kids or whatever. It should be easy enough for them to read the instructions and be able to follow along. And I have my measuring cups and everything I need, my lids, my rings, everything ready to go. And I'm also gonna, I think I'm going to try and vacuum seal these. I do have some oxygen absorbers that I could use in them. Maybe I'll do both. Maybe I'll use the oxygen absorber and then vacuum seal them on my food saver. So we'll see how this goes. Let's get this party going, I guess. Woohoo! Yeah, let's see how it goes. So first I need the cheese, powdered cheese sauce. So what I'm going to do is just open up all the number 10 cans that I'm going to use, and I'll come back and we'll start to assemble them in the jar. Now, I use the mason jars to store my pasta in, and this is vacuum sealed. Most times I see this one is not, because I had actually just put this in, I think yesterday or something, so I didn't get around to doing that. But so we're going to use this one first, and I mean, I could always reuse this jar, so maybe I'll use this jar and a new clean jar, because I mean, I'm just going to put these items right back in it, so why wash another jar? Less work for me. Alright, so let's get this started. Okay, so I have a love-hate relationship with these salt and pepper grinders. This one is just like a sea salt in here, and this one is actually glass, so it's a little bit more sturdier and better. I actually got this from the dollar store. And this one is a pepper, and I was like, oh, fresh pepper, you know, fresh ground pepper, great. But the container's plastic, so when you grind it, it's really hard, and of course the peppercorns they're hard to grind. So what I do is, especially when it says this recipe calls for 2 teaspoons, kind of hard to judge just by grating it into your container that you're putting it in. So what I do is grate it on a napkin just like this, and try to get like as close to filled as I can. Just grate it on there, and then what I do is just take the excess, oops, and just pour it in there, and that's how I measure. Oops. Measure it. So that's about the other teaspoon that it needs. So it called for 2 teaspoons, and I mean, just grinding it, and you kind of guesstimate how much a teaspoon is, and I'm not really that great with those kind of guesstimates. So that's a little trick for you. So grind it on a napkin, and then pour the napkin into your measuring spoon, so you can measure it out kind of close to what the measurement's saying. So in here I have my granulated pepper, my ground pepper. There is onion powder, and then the garlic, the granulated garlic. So what I have to add in here is half a teaspoon of nutmeg. So I'm going to do that. Just gonna, this is a teaspoon, I'm just going to pour half a teaspoon of nutmeg. It's about a half a teaspoon. So that's all the seasonings that it calls for. So what I'm going to do is add these to the powdered cheese sauce. 2.5 cups it calls for. Okay, so I have everything mixed and ready to go. So don't be like me, folks. Read your recipe all the way through the first time. I read it through just to get the ingredients together, but what I didn't realize is that the double cheeseburger sauce mix was actually yielded 10 1/0 sauce mixes, and I only needed 1 per quart container. So I actually didn't mix the whole thing. I just took out what I needed, an ounce of the cheese sauce powder, and then I just took like a pinch of each of the spices, and I still have a whole lot of spices left that I measured out. So I mean, I'm going to put them in a container and maybe just use them as I go along in other dishes, but I'm not going to mix up 10 of these, because I'm not going to make 10 of these. I mean, maybe over time I will, but right now I'm going to make about 2. So that's what I did. So in this container right here, I have the sauce mix. So what I'm going to do with that is just have a sandwich bag here. Just a regular old sandwich bag. And I'm just going to, it says to put it in a separate baggie, so let's do that. And I'm just going to put a little nut in it. So, like so, and have that ready. Get my recipe out of the way. So I have my elbow macaroni here. So we're going to measure out, it says, I'm going to put it in this cup, this jar, and it says 2 cups. And I really like um, these measuring cups. I actually got these from Walmart along with 4 of the tablespoon measurements. And I think I might have paid, I want to say like 88 cents for them. But what I like about these, I don't know if you can see in there, but there's like a lip in here. So it's a 2-in-1. So this one is a 1/4 of a cup, the outside measurement. And then inside it has a little lip, and that's 1/8 of a cup. So all of them are like double, you can double measure with them. So this is a 1 cup. And then in here, there's a 1/2 a cup in here. So if you only have one, you can kind of measure 2 things with it. So that's great. I like these. And I have 2 sets. One that I just put with my canning stuff and I leave it there. And then another one that I use in the kitchen. So what it calls for is, so 1.5 cups, which is great. 1.5 cups of the freeze-dried beef. So that's what I have here. I have the crumbles here. So I'm going to measure out 1.5 cups. Oops. It has an oxygen absorber in it. So I'm going to measure out 1.5 cups. So, oh, hold on 1 second. Yeah. Funnel helps. So we have our funnel. So that's 1 cup. I use the same measuring. Measure out 1/2 cup. And put that in the bottom. And now it says to measure 2 cups of elbow macaroni. And measure out 2 cups of that. That's 1. And here's another. Okay. That looks like it's going to fit, but I'm going to temp it down a little bit. Alright, so I just temp the bottom a little bit, and that leaves me enough room to put the little packet on top. And I actually am going to put an oxygen absorber in this, and then I'm going to put my food saver on it and just vacuum seal it. So I'm going to put the top on. I have the top here, my lid and my ring, but I'm going to get my oxygen absorbers out, put one in there, and then put my vacuum sealer on it, and then I'll come back when I'm finished that. Okay, so I finished my first one. I vacuum sealed it. As you can see, it's vacuum sealed. I put it on the, put my attachment on it and vacuum sealed it with my food saver. And I did put, if you can see in there, an oxygen absorber for a backup just in case. So I'm just going to put the ring on it. And then I'm just going to use these dissolvable labels and write the instructions as to how to cook it. So I have the beef down here, the macaroni, and if you can see up in there, maybe not, but it's right up in the top. That's the cheese sauce packet. So that's the first one. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so for my next meal in the jar, I'm going to do baked ziti. And I did read this recipe all the way through. It does say it can be done in the oven, on the stove top, or you can use a sun oven, a solar oven, sun oven. I don't have one of those either, but I have a stove top and I have an oven, so we'll try this. So it says you need a 2/3 of a cup of tomato powder. So I've actually mixed, and it says you need a tablespoon of Italian seasoning. So I've actually mixed all that together. And this doesn't say you need to put it in a baggie, so I'm going to I've mixed this, and I'm just going to put it all at the bottom. So drop all that in there. And it says you need a 1/3 of a cup of dehydrated onions. So let's put those in there. Okay. Shake that up. And then this is where I'm going to deviate slightly from the recipe because I don't have any freeze-dried mushrooms, but I do have something that should hopefully work. And it says to put 1/3 of a cup of that. So I'm actually just going to, let's see. That in there. That does have mushrooms in it, but as you can see, it's not all mushrooms. But we'll see how this works out. This is my little experiment. So, my little mad scientist sort of thing. So there's some mushrooms in there, but just not all what it said. So, some mushrooms. Every time I try to go and order the freeze-dried mushrooms, they're out of stock. And the green onions at Honeyville. So, I see the green onions are no longer available on the site, so maybe they can't get them anymore. Who knows? So now it says 1/3 of a cup of freeze-dried sausage crumbles and 2/3 of a cup of ground beef. So we like, or I should say my husband and the guys like beef more than they like sausage, so I'm going to do all beef. So it says 1/3 and 2/3. So it's a whole cup. 1/3 and 2/3 is a whole cup. So we're gonna put a whole cup of the beef crumbles in there. I'm not gonna deviate from that. So that's the beef crumbles. And now it says a cup or 3 ounces of ziti noodles. So, and I mean, I guess you could use any kind of noodles you want. I don't know, but this is what I have. That doesn't seem like nearly enough. No, I'm going to add some more. Yeah, that doesn't seem like enough. So I'm just going to add it to, I fill the container. Because, I mean, what's the point of that? A few more in there. Let's see. Okay. So again, I'm just going to try and temp this down. And hopefully the dry light stuff is at the bottom, and hopefully the vacuum sealer won't suck it up. I'm hoping. So we'll see. If I start to see it coming through, maybe I'll just stop. So that's the baked ziti. And I think I might just put, I'm pushing it. Me, always pushing it. 1 or 2 more. Try to temp that down, and then I'm going to vacuum seal it, put an oxygen absorber in here, vacuum seal it, and then put a top on it. So I'll come back when I've done that. Okay, so I have the next one done. This is the baked ziti. It has the tomato sauce, onions, mushrooms, the beef crumbles, and the ziti pasta up the top. And if you can see right here, it has the oxygen absorber in it, and I did vacuum seal it. So it's vacuum sealed as well as has an oxygen absorber in there. So we'll see how this goes. And of course I'm going to put the label on it and label it so when we go to fix it, we know how much water and stuff to add to it. I'm just going to put the ring on it. So that's number 2. So I'm going to go and do the next 2 and see how those turn out. And I think for the last 2, I'm going to do chili. One is a chili mac